Okie dokes. Hi friends, it is Millie with Millie's Vines, and this is the most that I could do with my outfit today. It feels like a hoodie on, hood up type morning. It is early, I'm tired, but hello, I'm here. I'm here nonetheless because I am going on a week-long trip, and I figured that I might as well do a rundown video on what that looks like. I've got almost 70 plants, and you can imagine when you leave them for a week, some things can go down if you do not plan accordingly. And that's what we're going to do this morning. I've got about 40 minutes to do this, 45 minutes, and we're going to do this as quick as possible. So let's get into it. If you guys are new here, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you subscribe and tag along. If you guys are not new here, hello and welcome back. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right, we're going to start with my Hoya. To be honest, I don't know if all of these need water right now, but they're in terracotta. They're in super chunky mixes, and they're just going to get a little drink regardless, because I know after 6 days they will be parched. These guys are probably like, actually my Hoya's pretty thirsty. So maybe they're like, I don't know, 1 to 2 days away from needing water. My plan here is both of these have, is that correct? Both of these have plastic saucers at the bottom. So I'm just going to, instead of like bringing this in the shower, I'm going to water these all around and let them sit in the water. I'm not going to like overdo it, but I do want them to have a little something just to hold them over. So I've got probably like 1/2 inch of water there. And the nice thing about bottom watering is theoretically the plants will take up the water as they need it. So it kind of helps with overwatering. I think the line that you have to walk there is you don't want, 4 or 5 inches of water left in the basin or whatever it is at the bottom. You really just want maybe like maximum 1 inch to make sure that they don't have too much water that they're sitting in. So this is more of like you kind of got to be familiar with what your plants can take so you don't mess this up and come back to a whole bunch of overwatered plants. But I think that's good. I just want to make sure there's not too much standing water in there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to check the amount of water in here tomorrow morning before I leave and make sure that I feel okay about that. The other thing I was mentioning was, instead of having these pulled back like I usually do when I leave, I'm going to make sure that these are more like this. So they're getting sun, but they're not getting 100% of the light that they're normally getting. They're probably getting about 70 to 80%. That way they're not expending as much of their water. Another thing that I forgot to mention is I have been putting off watering for quite some time. A lot of these plants are really, really thirsty, but when I know that I'm going out of town, I try to make them wait just a little bit longer so everything can get a good drench before I leave. I don't really want to be too proactive with the watering. I want to do it literally the night before I leave, if not the morning of. We'll take these guys to the shower. What I would recommend is, if you don't have a lot in terracotta, if you have stuff that's more in like ceramic pots, you do need to be careful with watering it if it does not need water, because it's going to hang on to it a lot more. This one is, it's like moist-ish. So I'm just going to barely give this a little bit of water at the top, not too much. My Scindapsus, they are definitely the plants that dry out the most in my collection. These are the two that I'm probably going to have a bowl of water of some sort underneath them, just like a 1/2 inch of water, so they can kind of do their thing and they do not risk drying out. They are by far the most high maintenance in my collection. This guy, I can't even tell you the last time I watered it, so we will take that. And then I just watered this guy yesterday, and he's in a really big vessel, so I think that one's gonna be okay. We've got everything in the shower now. If you're doing bulk watering like this, it's definitely easier than taking it to a super small sink and just reloading. So this is just being a little bit more mindful of your time. Everything here can get a really good drench of water. This is the only guy that I don't want to get too much, so I'll just give him a couple seconds. And I do want to make sure that I'm hitting this a couple times so everything's really saturated, especially with terracotta. Since they dry out so much, I tend to like to really make sure that I'm saturating everything. Because if the terracotta is more saturated, it won't dry out as quickly. Do, 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 do. Okay, real quick water for the Cebu. Not too much. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we're good. Okay, we're gonna let these just sit here for a second because they got a lot going on, and then we will come back while we are watering other things. Okay, the outdoor plants are what I need to be careful with because they are drought tolerant, so if anything is going to wait a bit, it's going to be them. But at the same time, I don't think I've watered a lot of these in like at least 2 weeks. So I'm really gonna double, triple check the soil on these and make sure I'm not doing too much. My bonsai, I honestly might bring inside because I typically water this every 2 days. And obviously, if I'm going a week, I don't really know how long I can stretch that if it's still outside. So she's gonna get a really good drink, and I'll probably bring her inside and put her next to the window. My euphorbia, that is more of a succulent than it is a cacti, so she's gonna get a good watering, like really good. My gymnoclasium, yeah, she's gonna get some water. She's in a really small pot, and it's very rocky and sandy. So I'm gonna do that. My cardon, she's good. She's good. She is a veteran to the sun, so I think we'll be fine there. Oh, I can't decide about this guy. We're just gonna do a tiny bit of water. Tiny, tiny bits. Because I find that these guys, I have rotted one out before, and yeah, if anything, I just want to wait and not do too much. This guy, I feel like has some moisture in it. Yeah, I'm gonna pass on this. My mammillaria, I'm gonna wait. And then my adenums. You guys see, if you saw my thrifted haul, plant haul video, I have kept this one because I just don't know if I can get rid of her. We will see. I might give this one away after doing some pruning and keep this one. It depends. I'm not sure. I'm probably, I think I'm gonna water these. And then everything else I think will be okay. Monkey tail is in a kind of muddy, sandy mix. I don't think that I want to water her. I'm gonna do just a tiny bit. We're just gonna do like that. And I think that's good. We'll bring this guy inside. We are gonna bring the first round of plants in. I think the biggest thing that I'm relying on this trip is pulling the blinds down a little bit. I'm thinking that that's really what's going to provide me the most peace. There have been a couple times where I've had a plant sitter come, and to be honest, I just didn't plan enough time to book something like that. So, wow, my linearis is getting so long. So yeah, we're just going to see how this works. Another tip that I would say is don't wait until the morning of or the night of that you have to travel, because the less time that you have to do this, the more stressed out you're going to be. I honestly feel a whole lot calmer knowing that I don't leave until tomorrow morning and I'm already going to have this handled. It is such a nice feeling. Look how nice everything is looking. Like they're all so happy looking, and that makes me feel so much better. I think this is the part where when you have a really big collection, the second you leave for a trip, you're like, oh my gosh, this is actually like such a big responsibility. It's almost like, I feel like it's the equivalent of having one dog. It's a lot to prepare for, and it's a lot to make sure is taken care of. I would say right after Ripsalis, Hoya is my favorite variety. They're so unique. There's so many different species within the genus, and they also are the last ones that I worry about when it comes to leaving plants outside of my cacti, because they are so just tolerant of neglect, and I appreciate them so much for that. I can't remember how I had these. Okay, perfect. We're almost done. We're gonna do these guys. We're gonna finish the table and then that will be it. These guys are thirsty because I have been making them wait. I'm gonna take my Monstera last. And y'all know the drill. They're getting a good soak down. My Monstera is just gonna get watered here because we're running out of room. All of my big plants have not been watered in a hot second, so they probably are really appreciative of this. Okay, last but not least, we're gonna water this table. I know that we kind of watered these guys recently, but my peperomia and my ripsalis are two that I might leave a little vessel of water in. My diune, I'm gonna water. My syndapsis is pretty moist. My ripsalis doesn't really need water. Trying to think what to do here. I'm gonna give these two water, and I might fill the bottom up here with some water, like just a little bit. Same thing with my ripsalis. I'm not sure. It's like, is it going to be worse to have them potentially sitting in water or underwatered? And I'm thinking this one is going to be worse to sit in water than it is to go through a little drought. This one is probably going to be worse to go through a drought. So this one I'll make sure I have some water in the drip tray, and then the ripsalis and the peperomia, since they're in such small pots, I will make sure I have a drip tray of water as well. Okay, diune is just getting a little bit of water, nothing too crazy. My cactus here, I'm not gonna water it. It's like super stiff. It feels great. I'm gonna leave it. I almost forgot to check my yucca. Oh, nope. This one is still good. So we are gonna leave her be. Hopefully I come back to some new growth. That would be wonderful. Okay, so before I leave, I'm gonna fill this up just with a tiny bit of water so they have something to tide them over, not too much. Again, I have to emphasize that. If you're not confident with doing this method, that's totally fine. I just feel like I know my plants enough. I know that they're in small vessels, super chunky mixes, and I think that that will give me peace of mind. I'm literally only gonna do like half an inch. Same thing with these over here, half an inch of water. I'm gonna leave them in and let them just bottom water as I'm gone. And I think that will just help them not look super crazy dramatic when I get back. And then same goes for these guys. I will fill these up just a tad bit with water tomorrow, kind of like a hydroponic situation, but not really. And I think that will help my ones that are not as drought tolerant. Bringing everything back now. I kind of know that my jungle boogie is getting too much sun and needs a bigger pot. That is something that I will do when I'm back and settled from these trips. Okay, we're done. Okay, that was crazy. And I have to leave for work in 5 minutes. So hopefully that was a nice little run through. I'm honestly, you can't tell, but I'm feeling much more relaxed and at ease knowing that these guys are taken care of and accounted for, and I just have to do some light watering tomorrow with those drip trays. But that is all, and I hope that it's helped, and I think that is it. I will see you guys when I am back from my trip. All right guys, until next time.